Longtime viewers of this channel might have seen that title and gone, oh boy, Random Stranger's gonna go off on randomness in board game design again. And well, hypothetical strawman, you're wrong. That's Momotarou Densetsu. This is Momotarou Densetsu. So instead I have to talk about the development of console RPGs. You could think of Momotarou Densetsu Turbo as the pixel remaster of Momotarou Densetsu for the Famicom. That was one of the earliest console RPGs that followed in the wake of Dragon Quest. For those who need a refresher, this was the progression of Japanese-style RPGs on the Famicom. First, Dragon Quest, which didn't stand out on the shelves when it was initially released. Then Dragon Quest II, which was a big hit and really the model that people started copying. Heracles no Eiko, a quirky game that mainly leaned into Dragon Quest-style combat. And then Momotarou Densetsu, the giant hit that convinced publishers that it wasn't just Dragon Quest, there was gold in them there RPGs. So you could call Momotarou Densetsu the fourth JRPG, if you wanted to be really stupid about your definition of JRPG. Momotarou Densetsu Turbo is the remake for the PC Engine, but it's a bit more than just a straight remake. The world map's been redone, the game has been significantly rebalanced to make the early game go faster, and there's a few other minor additions. Momotarou Densetsu is based on the Japanese folktale of Princess Kaguya. Nah, I'm kidding, it's Momotarou, of course. The story goes that a childless old woman was washing her clothes by the river when she saw a giant peach floating by. She brought it home for dinner, and when her and her husband cut into it, they found the infant Momotarou. The kid turned out to be supernaturally strong, and when he turned 6, he decided to set off and kill a bunch of Oni. These monsters were living on an island creatively titled Onigashima, or the Oni's Island. Momotarou made friends with some animals, a bird, a dog, and a monkey, by giving them some of the food that his parents gave him for the trip. And thanks to the power of friendship and some clever tricks, Momotarou kills all the Oni and makes a fortune on the real estate on the now unoccupied Onigashima. The game Momotarou Densetsu Turbo mimics that plot, but it has a comedic structure. This mostly comes out in the conversations with characters, including the infamous poop in the first town, and weird background details. The way the game plays? Well, it's an RPG that was originally released in 1987. You hit button 1 to bring up the menu as you're exploring, and there you can choose to talk, search, use an item, use an ability, and handle your equipment. A nice new feature is that when you hit the start button, you can pause the game and get a big status window. It shows everything about your game in one screen. Okay, more like 2 screens, but you scroll left and right to see the other panels. It's a very convenient way to know what's going on. Progress can be saved by visiting a temple where you get a password, or you can save anywhere if you have a Tendo Koei 2 memory bank device. I'd recommend using that if possible, because temples are fairly rare. So if you don't want to spend 10 minutes walking back, you'll want to use the peripheral. When you're exploring outside of town, you'll get randomly attacked by enemies, and Momotarou is the only party member you'll ever control. Yeah, you'll meet your animal companions, but they don't line up to fight with you. So your 4 options here are attack, use your abilities, use an item, or run away. It's very simple. The way you get abilities is by locating some wise men and beating them in fights. And this makes a good example of how sped up the early game is in Momotarou Densetsu Turbo. It only takes 6 experience to get to level 2, which you can earn in 3 fights if you get the right enemies. The first wise man, who teaches the heal spell, is located only a couple screens north of town, and by the time you've reached level 4, you've got a decent shot of beating him and getting his ability. Once you have that, you're likely strong enough to stay out of town and grind levels for a while. Getting a level up fully heals you, so you don't have to spend as much cash on ins. You can save that money for upgrading your weapons and armor. Basically, the early game grind is cut down a lot, though even the remastered version is still an RPG of the era, so expect a lot of grinding. Momotarou Densetsu Turbo was a pretty big hit for Hudson. It was the third best-selling game on the PC Engine. And the PC Engine got the actual sequel to Momotarou Densetsu, which was released in, let me just check the calendar here, 1990. Yeah, we won't have a long wait for that one. And obviously, Momotarou Densetsu Turbo is kind of popular in Japan. Not as popular as the original, but that's because there were twice as many Famicoms as there were PC Engines. Still, I found plenty of people calling it a masterpiece, and even ones who said that the entire reason they bought a PC Engine was to play it. I'm a bit more muted on Momotarou Densetsu Turbo. It's far from the worst 8-bit RPG, but at this point I've played so many of them that it needs to be really special to get my attention. And Momotarou Densetsu was designed at a point when people were still figuring the basics out. The improvements in the Turbo version are very good, and so if you wanted to play Momotarou Densetsu, then this is the version to go with. But it's still a very simple, very basic RPG. It just doesn't go for anything more than that.